So let's start. Let's start. The last part, the most exciting part, I believe, of today's discussions, where we will finally speak with real social entrepreneurs, live people. Although we spoke and we saw some of them in the morning session as well. So I'm very happy that Ilze Saleniece, a friend of mine and program director at the British Council Latvia, has agreed to moderate this panel. The British Council has been a wonderful partner, the most important partner, I must say, in making this forum happen and making it a success. So Ilze's background is in development education, and she has over 10 years of experience in NGO sector. In the British Council, Ilze leads programs promoting creative industries and active citizenship and social entrepreneurship. And in this session, I believe we will have a wonderful chance to follow a wonderful group of social entrepreneurs from the Baltic States and discuss their journey in social entrepreneurship, their joys, their challenges, and the way they think and work. Ilze, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Eva, and thank you all for coming. And special thanks to these 6 people that they agreed to participate in this kind of experimental session. The name of session, as you know, is Social Entrepreneurship Stories. So here in front of you are actually 6 storytellers specializing in the genre of social entrepreneurship. So probably we will hear some dramas, probably some joys, and also probably some questions or remarks that will be left for our own interpretation. And let me introduce you shortly whom we have here now. And we have Sabīne from Latvia. She's representing charity shop and foundation Otrā elpa. Then we have Riinu from Estonia, and she is working with small food producers in Estonia and connecting them with customers. Then we have Māris, who is also from Latvia and representing NGO sector and working with people with disabilities. Then we have Jekaterina from Lithuania, our southern partner, and she is passionate about urban development and community engagement. And then we have Paavo, another Estonian, and as Estonia is e-country, then Paavo kind of combines technology with the social sector, and he has an enterprise that actually is kind of involving technology in providing quality health services. Yeah. And then last but not least, we have Zane from social enterprise LuDe, and actually she's representing the youngest social enterprise here because LuDe was established in 2013, so this year. And yeah, the aim of this session is to give you an insight actually how it is to be a social entrepreneur and how it is to actually run social enterprise or social entrepreneurship initiative. And in a way, this company and the spheres they present and their stories is also some kind of overview of social entrepreneurship sector here in Baltic States. So this is some kind of really good selection of or some kind of showcase of what we have here in the Baltic States. And another aim of this session, of course, is to inspire you and to really show you through really, really practical stories and practical experiences how it is to be a social enterprise. And we really hope that in the end of this session, probably some of you will get the necessary inspiration that will push you forward to think about your own social enterprise. So this is what we really hope for. And yeah, just before we start, I would like to explain you a bit the process of this session. As you probably already noticed that there are some unusual elements. And one of the main things is that as this is some kind of storytelling exercise, then in the center, literally, will be human being and individual. So that's why we will not use standard PowerPoint presentations, but we will really try to listen to these people and what they want to say to you. But still, in the background, you will see some kind of PowerPoint slides, but they will be just some facts and figures about the enterprises they each represent. So while they will talk, you will see some of the visual and also factual information in the background, so that you kind of link together what they will say with what they represent. We will have 4 main questions that we will discuss, all of us. And in the end of each question, there will be space for you to ask questions to our social entrepreneurs. And thirdly, as it's about storytelling, we will use some creative and kind of unusual objects. So, yeah, welcome us and our kind of experimental activities warmly. And yeah, so let's start. And all of us have something in common, or actually they have something in common. And it's the fact that at one point in their life, they started to look at the world through the glasses of social entrepreneurship. Yeah, the first element appears. So it's interesting for me. Wow. I'm sorry, this is kind of a special side effect. So it's interesting for me to find out and to hear what was that what you saw and what was that particular social challenge or social problem you decided that you would like to solve, and what is or was or still is your motivation why you decided to be a social entrepreneur in this particular field. So tell us about your glasses experience.
You're not going to keep them on?
No, now it's your turn.
Okay. I'll try to stay serious as I'm wearing these. So, yeah, the first shop opened in 2009. And as you well remember, I think everyone remembers when Princess Diana died, or I think we all remember the beautiful economic collapse in 2008 and 2009 and the effects that it caused in our society. And I, at that point, worked in an NGO and as a foundation, and you could just see the numbers going down and the number of donors decreasing and number of donated amounts decreasing. And so the main problem that our charity shops contribute to solving is raising funds for the social sector. We generate a regular amount of money by selling goods and various goods, and both used and recycled and fair trade goods. And the money we further invest in the society, in various NGOs and social entrepreneurs in Latvia. And so every month we give away 500 lats in Riga and 300 lats in Lepa to some kind of social cause. We plan to increase the amount, but that was the main problem. Of course, there are a lot of side, little indirect problems that we solve, which is the increase of waste. We're reusing a lot of things that people would usually throw out or give away, so that's one of the problems. Then kind of redistribution of wealth. We basically create money for the people, for the causes that need financial funds, like financial resources. And connecting the donor, a person who has a lot of things, who wants to give it away but doesn't know whom to give it to. And so we collaborate with different shelters, orphanages, crisis centers, etc. And we can easily, pass it on to somebody else. So we feel there are a lot of good things about the whole charity shop idea that works all around the world. But the main thing is to generate funds, money.
Okay, thank you.
For social sector.
Then we move to Riinu, and tell us, please, what did you see as the problem you would like to work on, and what was your motivation?
Okay, this is on. My story began, or my idea to become a social entrepreneur began when I was working in a large multinational, international corporation, global activities in Czech Republic in Prague. After graduating university, I had this dream that, wow, I would go to work in this large organization and I will make a huge career and the whole world is open to me and all that. So I was there, and looking around the people and how it works and what is the lifestyle, it kind of changed my mind. Being someone to make a huge career did not seem so appealing at all anymore. And my values were shifted like this, and I started thinking, okay, so what do I want to do? Who am I? What are the values that I actually want to bring into this world? And the results of this process of evolvement included several aspects. First, I will never ever want to work for someone else anymore. I will never ever want to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day anymore. I need my freedom, and I want to do something good in the society. I actually want to deliver something that has impact on people's lives, on the quality of their lives, and so on. So the decision to become a social entrepreneur was before I actually founded a social enterprise. As I didn't have the idea yet, I came back to Estonia, and I called a group of my friends, called them together and said that, okay, now we're going to do something fun. It has to be self-sustainable, it has to be good for the society. I don't know what it's going to be, let's discuss. And when we were discussing about several things that disturb us in the society and that we feel in our lives that is not really working well, every once in a while we came back to food. It was something that joined us together, this topic of food. For some people it was like, I'm sick and tired of going to the supermarket, buying something, and I see that it has additives, it has colorings, it has whatnot, all these things that are synthetic, that are not good for my body, and it's even hard to get something without all these additives. Some other people said that I go buying food and I have all these packages, it's just driving me crazy, I have piles of packages at home, and it's so bad for the environment, what to do with them. Some said that it's just sickening me how the industry is treating animals, that they are just some kind of production items, as if they didn't have any life of their own or needs for sunshine and fresh air and so on. Some mentioned that it's just weird what's happening in the society, that everyone is just moving into the cities. The rural areas are emptying because there's nothing to do there. There are no jobs. There are no services. All the young people just want to come in the city. So we were discussing around it, and the very logical conclusion out of it was, we want to bring local farmers' food into the city to teach people again what it means to eat fresh, healthy, nutritious, ethical way. And the concept developed into a name, Tagurpidi Lavka, which in Estonian probably doesn't mean anything to you. But what it means is, Lavka is a Russian word. The ones from you who have some Slavic background know what Lavka is. It's a bus shop. So it's a shop in a bus that drives around. And traditionally, it was in a way that the bus took food from the city and brought it to the remote areas in countryside. Well, we thought that, okay, as far as we know, the food is grown and produced in the countryside. Duh. So we turned it upside down. And the word Tagurpidi means upside down. If you see the pictures, there's also our logo, which is the upside down bus. And the name is upside down bus shop in English. So this is what we do in short.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's actually a really good example that you not only saw a particular social problem, but also society in general. And also you saw your own life and questions in your own life, and also your friends and people around you. So it's kind of about really broad perspective on things. Thank you. And then we move to Māris.
Very nice glasses. Yeah, thank you. How we see our NGO is founded in 1994 when I was very young. So I need to speak about two motivations, about the NGO motivation and my motivation, and it somehow comes in one motivation. NGO is a family business. It's founded by my mother, and it's done for my sister. So when you know that the family business is the strongest business ever, and the family affairs is families. I have tried to quit this position for several times and always returned. And so I have understood that it's my destiny, and it's better to accept your destiny, not to fight against. And then secondly, I started to think what is good in this, and that I enjoy the process. I enjoy to meet Andris Bērziņš every day in conference and meetings. I enjoy to meet new people as clever as you are all in the auditorium. And the main of the business, or what we do, is that we provide social service for people with intellectual disabilities. And we understood in 1994, after some long period where such people was put in institutions outside of towns, that there should be a change of thinking, of model of services, and we started to build a new model of services, to build a new service provider system. So the biggest challenge or biggest motivation, we started as a family-based organization who tried to organize services for their kids or relatives, and now we are a professional service provider who provides everyday services for more than 160 people. We have 60 employees, 25 volunteers, and the main idea is to change and to make a better life and to better services. How I see, are we social business or what we are? It's a big question. I suppose that social services, from one hand, if we just take criteria of social businesses and we can check in every point, and then we are social businesses, as we don't have legislation of social businesses in Latvia, so we are not social business, and so on. But the ideology and the all criteria we satisfied. Our main target is not to have a benefit, but just to make more and more services, to have more clients. And at the end, the big issue is that people with mental disabilities don't have to live in big institutions, but they have the good quality services near their home. That's, I suppose, is the main. And do I have some glasses? I don't think that the social business people have some other view of things. I suppose the only thing that they think differently is a target. Yes, if the people who study in this university and how to be learned that the profit and money is the main thing is once, in the one point, and the other point is the people who think that the process and the society is more important, and there we are, who on the other side, that the way of living don't depend on money, but on how you feel and how you act.
Thank you, Māris. And then we move to Jekaterina from Laimikis.
Yes, so I don't know if I see better now, but it seems to me, at least it's more colorful now. The world becomes more colorful through these glasses. So, yes, hello everyone, and providing some background of my organization, it was founded, Laimikis.lt was founded as NGO in 2009, but as a creative group which acted on the streets and public spaces, aiming to revitalize public spaces, mainly squares and streets, which were underused in Vilnius. We cooperated with several colleagues in 2007. And we have been working on revitalization of underused public spaces, developing some tactics, playful tactics, which we offered citizens to use periodically and to apply to keep public spaces, not only in Vilnius, but in other Lithuanian cities alive. But a year ago, when my organization was took part in Grundtvig project, which focused on education, adult education. We were encouraged by our colleagues who are neighborhood managers in Germany to use our tools of cooperating and communicating with citizens, moving from public spaces to neighborhoods. And for us it was a great challenge, to change the scale of acting and the scale of thinking actually about the city. Because one thing is to work with a huge square, but another one is to work with neighborhood. But, and still we were searching for somehow the answer, what neighborhood we're going to move to was evident, because it appeared that all members of Laimikis somehow rented flats in neighborhood of Šnipiškės. It's a wooden neighborhood, by neighborhood of Šnipiškės. It's a wooden neighborhood which is just next to several skyscrapers in Vilnius, next to the building of municipality, and which is completely seen by city strategists for almost 50 years as an area for under construction, area for redevelopment and for building new skyscrapers. That means that people living there almost for 50 years, they lived in the situation of complete uncertainty, what to do and whether they to invest in their property or not. And the main problem we faced was the absence actually of local community, because usually we treat local community as something which is already made, already present in neighborhoods. But actually in Baltics it's not that evident. You have to work on to build local community, to build a local net of trust. So the first aim we formulated for ourselves was to establish a net of mutual help and mutual trust in the neighborhood, in the wooden neighborhood. And we actually succeeded by launching several creative initiatives in this neighborhood, because our tactics is to be present in the neighborhood to attract people to come and to discuss further questions. So at this moment, maybe it's that's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, then we move to Paavo from Estonia, and he will probably introduce better than I did it in the beginning what I meant by e-Estonian approach to social entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Ilze. I'll try to do that. Oh, these classes, by the way, are really great. They really take down the stage fever, because I cannot see you. So I feel like alone, but hopefully you can hear me.
So maybe it's an idea for kind of new social entrepreneurship, social enterprise.
If anyone gets this idea, go ahead and try it. What do we do in Estonia? We are contributing into exhausting the healthcare system by not letting the elderly people and people with physical disabilities to die. As simple as that. A bit more seriously, or this was actually death serious. A bit more seriously, this is what we do. And we do it by providing emergency button service, or alarm button service, or an SOS button, or whatever you want to call it. This is pretty much the same Andris is doing in Latvia with the Samaritan Association. We just discussed with him for half an hour, and we are not on the same level, but I'm sorry to say, but the Estonians close their eyes now. Latvia is doing better than us. Plus, Andris was the first one among Baltic countries, etc. But we are growing. Not rapidly, but we are catching up. So what is it, what we do? We help the elderly people and people with disabilities to feel safe and sound there in their own homes, the places where they really need to feel safe. And if something happens to them at their own homes, the homes are the places where most accidents occur. Homes are the places where most people die, not the car accidents or plane accidents or whatever. And this is what we do. We help them to call for help with a single button. So whenever they need help at their homes or close to the homes, 100, 150 meters, They don't have to reach for their phone, they don't have to dial the number, they don't have to think about to whom to call. They only press the button, they get connected with our call center, not with this button only, it takes another small unit at their houses, which is used to communicate with each operator. They can talk to each other, and the operator detects what's happened there, and if the help is needed. So it's the easiest way for calling for help. And it's getting into the minds of younger people as well. About motivation, or what drives me, is I should say that by the time I will be that old, I'm going to need the alarm button. I really want the service to be there. We are the first one in Estonia. We are still the only one in Estonia who offer dedicated professional service all over the country. I hope that after decades and decades, when I'm going to be needing the button myself, it's still going to be there. So this is why we started it. And another aim is the alarm button service or the solution itself, it must become as accepted and used and common healthcare solution as it is for example, in Scandinavia. For instance, we have approximately 200 persons attached to the buttons. Latvia has 500. Finland has 80,000. Sweden has 160,000, which makes 1.4 something percent of the population. If you expand it to Estonian population, it is 20,000 people who are in the need of such a solution. So, and we've been working in Estonia for almost 4 years, and we do have these 200 people at the moment. So, not the sky is the limit, but at least 20,000 people is the limit. So there is no limit.
Thank you. Okay, and then Zane.
So I have to try them on. Do you hear me? Okay, beautiful. Wait, it does help. Hello, yeah, as Ilze mentioned, actually, I do remember very freshly kind of what are my business partners' Solvitus motivation, and actually, it is very linked to previous project, and actually, it comes from the love for our mothers. Our moms, my mom has retired already some time ago, and when she did that, actually for me it was almost a heartbreaking experience, seeing what happens when you're not needed in the work environment anymore, and when actually you lose your social circle and sometimes even the motivation to get up in the morning, to wash your face and go out of the house. As we're all here from the Baltic States, I guess the situation is quite similar also in Estonia and Lithuania. The pensions are terribly low. Mm-hmm. I think in my family, one of my parents' income is 250 euros. Okay, we don't live in London, but it's still very, very small money. But anyway, seeing basically this transition point in life when you, from a needed person in society, become kind of like outcast in a social sense, and you do lose partly the reason why you live. We saw there's an opportunity, and actually there's a lot of senior or retired people who are healthy enough to still continue working, but they might not be able to do it within their existing workplace, and maybe they're really not needed there. And basically that was the spark. And then LuDe came about, and LuDe is a weaving studio that employs senior ladies for the time being. We're very open for guys, but they're not there yet. And basically we combined old tradition in Latvia, which is weaving rugs. I think that's the word in English. So basically also having the environmental aspect. And we have to actually, I have to thank Sabīne because she's sitting there and she's one of our great suppliers. So actually charity shop Otrā, Elpa are the ones who are bringing us raw materials. So thank you. You make our dream possible. So yeah, and as I said, it was on one hand very personal motivation. It was seeing my mom, and my mom does not work in LuDe, but I was thinking about those people who might not have daughters or sons who can take care of them, and who really want to do something about it. So basically, it's quality of life for senior people, and even though we can maybe help a very small circle of them, we want to try. And what I'm actually very, very happy to see that we are approached by other people who are starting to see senior workforce as a good workforce, and I'm sure there will be popping up some new social enterprises in Riga. Who knows, maybe in the Baltics very soon. So there you can see our great team, and actually I want to emphasize the lady in the middle. She's called Rasma, and she's actually approaching 90 years of age. She lives in the neighborhood where we're located. Unfortunately, we cannot fully employ her because her health state does not allow her to weave, but we are finding a little work for her, so she's preparing a different type of rug. And for her, she said, I could sit at home and talk to my cat, but I prefer to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for sharing your stories and your view on the world. And now we have something like 3 to 5 minutes for you to ask our kind of panelists some questions. Yeah, please. But do we have microphone? You can also comment or just feel free to share your feelings or...
Yeah, no. My name is Ilze. I come from the food sector. So, and I was very glad that food field was included. This topic was included in this forum, as this is very, very close field and topic for me. And I'm representing an initiative in organic food buying group movement that's currently quite developing in Latvia. And I'm particularly interested in community ownership and the cooperative structures that we have heard during this forum. And thus I'm asking all of you, have you considered community ownership or cooperative structures for your enterprises or NGOs? Thank you.
Who would like to answer? Maybe Riinu, as you represent also food sector, maybe just a comment, even if you don't have this kind of...
well, my answer is no, we haven't. We registered as an NGO. It seemed to be the most logical choice of the possible legal statuses. And in order to have a cooperative, you would need to have a group of either individuals or farmers or someone who wants to organize it all together. Then we are structured a little bit differently. We are like a mediator between farmers and clients. So we have our own core group doing that work. And we didn't think about that structure.
Are you thinking now, after hearing what has been discussed and all the beautiful case studies that have been shown yesterday?
My motivation to think about this kind of common ownership structure is because the legislation doesn't allow small farmers to sell their food products if they are not fully compliant with the EU regulations. They can sell their stuff directly to the client, but not through a mediator. So this could be a motivation to consider a different structure where the farmers are actually part of this organization selling the food. But I don't know about it yet. It's just an idea for now.
in case of that wooden neighborhood, somehow this idea of cooperative, it was articulated from time to time by neighborhood's residents because of the structure of neighborhood itself. Each has his own or her own small yard and garden, and they start thinking about cooperating to face and to solve the problems of infrastructure in this area, because it's now it is not going to be solved by the municipality, delegated to citizens themselves at this moment to solve the problems, not even of your private property, but also of public property. From this year, we're going to fix roads in Vilnius from our pocket. It will be like double taxi for us. So people started discussing this topic, but they, at this moment, they're not about establishing some kind of cooperative.
What I can say is life is a very interesting thing. Yeah? Why? About cooperatives. We had good cooperatives in some 25 years ago, and then cooperative became a bad word. Now we start to think about cooperatives. The same is with social businesses. We had some 10 years ago bezpeļņas organizācijas, bezpeļņas SIA. So 10 years ago, the legislation changed because we cannot accept the business who doesn't have a profit. Now 10 years has moved on, and we start to think, and 2 years in a row we meet here to discuss such things. So about this cooperative is that at 1994, when we was established, cooperative was a very bad word. Nobody was thinking about it. At this point, we don't think about it because we have managed the place, but I can see such a model in some rural area where the people agree on some specific service what they need, and they just organize, and we help them to organize such a model of service. But as an organization, we don't see any need of such model.
Okay, then we have another question, and I would suggest that it's the last question for this part, and we move on. So, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for a very inspiring panel, and it helps me to see social entrepreneurship in a different way, of course, with the glasses and to hear voices and everything. Well, I promised Ieva and Irina to show my gratitude by asking questions for each one of the panels. And something that bothers me, now seriously, is what are your greatest needs? It's something I ask some entrepreneurs back in Israel and some entrepreneurs I work with at Ashoka, and usually the instinctive answer is money. Is it really money? Or is it more community or knowledge or contacts or experience? So I wonder, I think it's a question I ask myself, how people like us who run platforms for social entrepreneurs could help young, old, beginning, continuing entrepreneurs in the best possible way.
Yeah, maybe each of you can say some 2 to 3 keywords. What kind of...
I think we could start with the baby steps. Like, first we need legal framework. Like, we're operating, we're an NGO, but we're a social enterprise. So we don't fit, legal framework, definitely.
Actually, the answer would be very different depending on what time period of the involvement of the social enterprise you would ask it. Right now, we need a bigger car.
Okay.
Where are the bankers? We can get
Okay, Māris?
I would say qualified people.
You mean employees?
Employees, colleagues, team members.
Okay.
Yeah, there are 2 levels. One level is we need some. There is a problem on level of strategic decision-making process, which sometimes makes our model, not working at some point when strategically the situation is changed. So it's something nobody can help. But the other thing is the motivation of volunteers. Each small NGO in Lithuania, they have got lots of volunteers who are young volunteers, but that means that in 2-3 years they move somewhere in UK, for example. So we start thinking how to motivate these volunteers to be more stable, and more loyal to NGOs. And now we came up with the idea that actually we need to develop the hubs, small hubs for these volunteers to be together at least, and to to share.
And stop young Lithuanian people move to the UK.
Actually, but again, it's strategical level.
Yeah. Okay, Paavo.
What we need is, like I already said, actually, and we are going to have a similar questions later on. What we need currently is to reach the decision makers to change their mindsets in order to have this solution and this healthcare products like a normal, regular, acceptable and used services and solutions, just like in more advanced countries, I'd say.
Yeah, so it's also a political framework.
Definitely.
Okay, and Zane?
If you hadn't mentioned the money, I would have gone for that one. But actually, if I think seriously, we definitely need more expertise. Might it be for us, or might it be another employee or a person joining the team? And we need designers. Actually, we need designers to get the product, I think, even better than it is already.
Yeah, so also qualified team members.
Definitely.
Okay, I would suggest that we move to the next question. As I said, we will have 4 main questions. And the next question is really linked with the practical side of social enterprise. And as we just talked about motivation and having that special spark in our eyes and looking at world through a certain kind of glasses, then at this point I would like to kind of start talking about something really practical and ask each of the entrepreneurs to share some of their first practical steps they did in order they can move from an idea to a really existing enterprise. So please share, each of you again, what were these first practical steps that allowed you to move from an idea that was only in your head to a really practically, really existing enterprise. Just choose.
Here. Okay, this will best suit what I'm going to share. For us, for the charity shop concept to be launched in Latvia, because it was the first locally initiated charity shop, it was crucial for us to have the leverage of just backing as many people behind us as possible. So the first thing we did was we talked and shook hands with a lot of people. And we talked to the diplomatic sector, to the Canadian ambassador's wife, and making sure that once we launch the shop, whether we will have stuff to sell. And they said, of course, the embassies will donate things. And so we continued shaking hands. And then the next practical step, what we did was we went and talked to the real estate owners or magnates. And so we had breakfast together, shook hands, and we asked if they could help us out. And maybe since during the crisis there were a lot of shop spaces empty, we asked them if they have any shop space that we could use for a year or two, hopefully with no rent. During the breakfast, I don't know, it was maybe maximum 2 hours. Alexis Carlson's. He said right away, let's go. Just in Baltic Bazaar, there's a space, used to be for one of our newspapers. Let's go check out the space. And I brought along with me the Canadian ambassador's wife to have like an older, wiser person next to me. And he took us to a second floor, up these Soviet-like looking large stairs, which wasn't very appealing for a store space at all. And so I was kind of suspicious. It was all gray, and Elizabeth was, oh, this is perfect, we're taking it. And and then later we thought, okay, well, if they offer it free of charge. Yep, we'll pay utilities. That's a good way to start, and then we can always move on. But yeah, partnerships and just talking to people, not being afraid to share the ideas. And people gave very good suggestions. Should I put it back in?
Take it home. Just choose.
So, as I said, the first thing we did was get together and find the idea what we're going to do. So we found out that we're all very passionate about eating more healthy, being more ethical in choosing food and eating. The next question was, is there actually anyone else who's interested in this kind of eating and local food? We didn't know, so we had to find out. We decided from the start that we're not going to bother with writing business plans and asking for startup money and all this paperwork and stuff. We just wanted to try it out. So what should we do? Where do we get local food? We call our grandmothers. So we called our grandmothers, you have a garden, do you have maybe something there that you don't need and we can sell? Oh, yeah, you have this, oh, maybe your neighbor has something also. So we got some kilos, some tens of kilos of stuff. We went to flea market, regular flea market in Tallinn, and we rented a place there, and let's try out who wants local food. We did it once, we got some money. We did it the next weekend, we did it the next weekend, we did it the next weekend. Soon we started to do the same stuff inside the week. So we would go to like a living area, saying that on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock we will come there by our car with all the vegetables and fruits and berries and all the stuff there. If you want, come. So we had 3 times a week we had this kind of sales somewhere in the town. These were the first steps. We actually did it for the whole first year. Then we realized that actually this is not self-sufficient at all. It needs a lot of voluntary work. It doesn't pay. Well, it pays enough to get to the next week to buy the stuff and sell it, but all the rest it doesn't pay. Just to jump over some years, what we do now with this kind of open sales is that this is a marketing thing to do. We actually have a business besides that, and this kind of sales outside in the living areas and festivals, and this is a marketing activity. It's not money-owning activity. So thinking back of our approach, we really took it one step at a time. And it had a reason. We were a group of friends, and we agreed with each other that friendship is more important than the activity that we were about to do. So whatever happens, we are friends. We can stop at any time. We are not going to get responsibility or get dependent on any funders or investors. We are not going to take loans, because if we feel like we want to stop, we want to be able to stop. And then this step-by-step approach was very logical. Another good thing about this approach was that we were all the time in contact with the demand. We were all the time in contact with what is the demand, what the people want, how they want it, where they want it, what are the prices they want. I'm just thinking if we could have chosen another approach, asking for some kind of startup money, for a sum of money just to start up the business, maybe we would have had some kind of illusion about what's really out there, what is the demand, and we just spent the startup money, and after that's finished, what do we do next? We did have in the first step financial help, but it was very much directed to one particular thing. We were involved in one charity campaign, and it was for getting a car. So that was something that we actually got from outside as a donation, and it was very useful. Yeah, that was our first steps.
Thanks. Māris?
Something good. This is my thing that I cannot in my life to teach how to use it. I always put the paper not the wrong side, but I suppose first, second, third, and 21st thing what you need to do to be not only good in the social business, but to be good in your life is to lose a shame. Because
not being afraid of mistakes, you mean?
No, we can call it, but mostly the people ask, if you ask somebody to do it, here, when I have new employee as a project manager, I say, okay, let's call him, and do that, and he says, after 2 days he hasn't done anything, and I ask why you didn't do it. I'm ashamed. So I try to call and do, and then they ask how you can do it, and that's the thing if you want to do something, you cannot be ashamed. So if you lose the shame, you can start to do, because if you have a shame, you cannot do anything. So here was, you started to go in the market to sell, you step forward your shames, there was this you took the place and went to people to speak, and so I suppose if you want to do anything, it's the first step, and each day.
Okay.
Wow. Cool, actually. Let's measure. We were speaking about measuring impact, so I have thoughts right here what it seems to me. So, okay, but what's
first practical steps, how Laimikis became reality.
What concerns the question, what we had to do, speaking in how to say global way, maybe the first thing needed to start actively working as social entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur initiative. You need to enjoy creative cooperating with people. Actually, you need to enjoy a company. You should be inspired by people. But we had our organization had very practical steps to do actually to work in to inspire people of local community to come together and to discuss topic of their everyday life and to start searching for some solutions together. And these steps were to be present, physically present in neighborhood day by day. What we started doing by creating street mosaics on electric poles in the neighborhood, because we were physically there and people could approach us, and we started talking with them. The second thing was to bring some visible changes to this abandoned neighborhood, because the visible signs of change are inspiring. But at this moment, the problem is that now people want more changes. And for example, one of hot topic is to fix roads in this neighborhood. And they started addressing this question to us, what we are going to do with the roads. So now we are searching for fundraising for the roads. We move from mosaics to some practical questions. Also it was important for us to form points of attraction for citizens of Vilnius to come to this neighborhood and to not be afraid of it, because tendency for last decades the image of this neighborhood was formed as if people living there were completely marginal people, drinkers and criminals, and it was looking as a neighborhood is completely dangerous. But it's the neighborhood in the center of Vilnius with beautiful green areas, with 2 lakes, with nice everyday culture, and with people who are very open, and they invite guests to come to their houses, when they start conversations on the street. So these were points we had to make to push our ideas further. Thank you.
Thanks. Paavo?
I feel like it's a bag of Santa Claus. Oh, look what I got. I really got my hands on it now. About the first steps that are needed in order to bring an idea to life. I do believe you have, who has hundreds, who has thousands of decisions, actions you've taken, which have ended up very successfully or then not. I think you all know what it takes. We had the idea first with my schoolmate from university. He told me about it actually, and I had just finished a pretty successful job at Estonia's biggest mobile operator, something just like Riinu, and I decided I don't want to do a paid job anymore. Or I want to do something totally different. I don't want to work for a big international company, earn a lot of money, etc. So when I heard about this solution, it looked like a really, really good idea, and Estonia was lacking it. And this is how we started. We had an idea, we made a plan, we executed hundreds, tens of big actions, hundreds of little actions, finding a good solution, good units, training staff, introducing this solution to Estonian local municipalities, etc., making a web page, whatever, selling the idea, selling the service. So what was the most important during that establishing and founding period was let's do it. We just got our hands on it and just did it. We had some goals that we wanted to reach, but it took just doing and doing, thinking and doing, thinking and doing. So, which was very great about it. I would compare it a bit to McDonald's or something like that. I've been along with it from the very start, and what I like about it, and what's the comparison with McDonald's, is in McDonald's you first start as a cleaner, and then you get to the, I don't know, cashier, or then you can flip burgers and etc. Then you can move to another cashier, and I do everything also by myself. I've done everything myself in this company, so I really know what's the challenges, difficulties, possibilities in every task, in every single person's everyday job. So just do it, I would say.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have no choice. I only have what is left there. Oh, that's great. This one, never used it in life. I can start. I'll be very practical. I actually managed to, LuDe idea was born almost a year ago, so we could almost celebrate the birthday of the idea. And I could count 5 important kind of stages or steps within the first half year. I think when from the idea we could really say, okay, we are on the track of having a business done. And actually, for me, the first one was, idea is nice, but I think 90% is execution. And actually, if I didn't have my good friend, very beautiful blonde lady here, my childhood friend Sīle, she was actually the one who, I said, I have this great idea. And she was, yes, we can do it. And actually, that was the starting point. And whenever somebody approaches me with a question, what is important in entrepreneurship, I always say, do you have a partner? It's very important. And thank you for being with me, hanging on. The second one actually then was very, very fast. It was money. And we actually, from the solve it as yes, let's do it, we had basically 10 days to submit a business plan for the Brigade program grant, or this kind of program that was actually provided by Soros Foundation Latvia and managed by Latvian Contemporary Arts Center. Yes, thank you guys. So actually we did it very, very fast after the first New Year's celebration. So we got the money, and then we were like, okay, so we have the money. So, and actually my partner said, you know what is the worst thing that can happen to you? You will get the money, and then you will have to do it. And actually the moment we received the good news, it was like, oh my God, we got the money. Oh my God, we have to do it. So yeah, it started with that. So that was the second point. Then started, I think, the most terrible part, which was the beautiful paperwork part. And actually, I don't know why, it took me like months just to register the LTD. And then deciding all the accountancy, everybody who has ever done it knows it's a pain in the ass, and you're happy when you're through it, and actually you're never through it. But get a good accountant, that helps. And afterwards, then actually started the phase that Sabīne was talking a lot about. It's shaking hands and talking. And for us, actually, it was getting the suppliers. It was very important to understand if we can get somebody who gives us the raw material. And for us, it was the kind of recycled, upcycled product. So there was Otrā elpa charity shop who gave us T-shirts, and I love the conversation. We come in and we before we start asking, they said, yeah, we will give you the T-shirts, and now tell us about LuDe. And we were like, oh, that's a great conversation. And afterwards, we were actually very surprised. When we were writing the project, we were estimating 20% of raw material coming from textile leftovers, so from textile production. But actually now we're super lucky. We have 3 brands who are donating us their leftovers from their production. We have brand Zip, which produces cool leggings, but we were even more surprised to get 2 lingerie underwear factories, so huge companies, who also give us, so we have Rosme and Lauma Lingerie, who give us their lace and underwear leftovers. So that's, and actually that was, and I have to thank Brigitte also for sitting in this room, who actually gave it, in one very social event, said, oh, I know somebody from Lauma, you should contact them. So yes, we got lace from them, so we're very happy.
Interesting carpet.
Yeah, they're amazing. Okay, I will use this moment for advertisement break, but I will say every woman deserves that her, the first thing in the morning that touches her bare foot is lace. It's like, come on, ladies. Yeah. But afterwards, when we got some, yes, we can do it. And we found actually, we got more support than we actually ever hoped for, and things that came for free. We even got guys who donated us paint to get their repair done. So it was incredible positive vibes. But and then actually the hard work started. We needed the premises, we needed the weaving looms, we needed all the other materials and tools, and most of all, we needed the people. And actually, for us, there was 2 groups of people. We needed experts, we needed designers, weaving teacher, and we needed the seniors. And actually, the recruitment was a very interesting process.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah, and just to summarize, it seems that actually the first practical thing is to have this attitude and belief that actually it can work, and that you are courageous enough to really make it happen. So thank you. We have time for one reflection or one question. So yeah, please, the gentleman there.
This is a kind of a reflective question. It's in 2 linked parts. We heard an awful lot about startup, and one comment was, well, we're just a group of friends. So if we don't like it, we can stop. But I refer back to earlier parts of the presentations, so these last 2 days, which was about sustainability, ethical issues in social enterprise. But to my mind, ethical issues also relates to relationships with suppliers and relationships to customers. If the middle person drops out, what happens to these other people? So the second part is, are startup persons for social enterprise really the right people to continue them into their 5th and 10th years, which is a question in the middle here. It's the long term. You wanted to drop out, but you weren't allowed to. So it isn't just Riinu. So that's my question.
Yeah, so maybe really quick reflections from Riinu and Māris, but really short ones, yeah?
I had a secret. You can hear this? I had a secret. I was actually determined to make the social enterprise. I needed the others to build it up and to help me bring it happening. And by now, the people who I initiated with, they have told me that if it wasn't me working on it with them, it wouldn't exist now already, because they got tired in the process. But they didn't know it at that time.
If I need to answer the first part of the question about this responsibility, then in our case, each day we offer service for 160 families So we are responsible for their day life. So if we tomorrow decide that we are fed up and we need to quit, then it would be very hard for them. So we need to, when we do something, understand that each contract that we sign is not for 1 year, not for 2 years, not for 3 years, maybe it's for 20, 25, and 35 years. And here we come to the second part, how we can manage that after 5 years and 10 years we still continue to work. And one way is family business, yes, when you put your relatives, and the secondly is to build up a team. And it's very hard, so when I answer the question is that the people is the most important thing, and I believe it strongly. And I hope that at this point of our organization we have a very strong team. We have some 7 people in administration, and I hope that we each can continue working without any person left. So there are 2 types of organizations. There is one person organization, and if he dies or left, his organization dies or quits, and there are organizations who are more than 1 people.
Okay, thanks. Brigitte, do you have a really short question or reflection? Suggestion, yeah. We can, have a suggestion.
Listening to so many different people needing so many different things, it occurred to me that perhaps it would be a good idea for somebody, I don't know, Soros Foundation, somebody else, to set up an expertise bank, which is, there are lots of people out there who are really good at writing unbelievable amounts of paper, who might like giving their skills to creative people or to people with a really deep social need. And I will be the first one to put my hand up and say I have many skills. I don't have the big social entrepreneurship idea, but I'm happy to help somebody else with what I know. So somebody wants to take this, it's an idea how we can help each other out.
Thanks, Brigitte.
I will give you my card after the
so
session.
It's about shaking hands. Yeah. Okay, but let's move further. And me, myself, in my everyday work, I'm very much connected with creative thinking and creativity as such. Therefore, for the next question, I would like to refer to the lateral thinking expert, Edward de Bono. And maybe you know his method, 6 thinking hats. And I would like to use his black hat, but paraphrase it a bit and talk about challenges, lessons learned, and probably even mistakes. So my next question would be, with this black hat on, what would you consider being your kind of mistakes or lessons learned that you would like to share with others so that they can avoid them in the future? But try to be really short and just really focus on your main challenges, lessons learned, probably the hardest things you experienced in your social entrepreneurship experience. So let's start with Sabīne.
Okay. So this is a lesson learned, but it's not, I wouldn't say that, I think we did it right, but maybe there were a couple of mistakes on the way, but very important is the hiring process. That we found that it's great when you do it public, a public announcement, and you do an official kind of looking for people. But we found the best people through our volunteers. And on the 3rd row, I mean, all the shop managers are the ones who started off as volunteers. And it's unbelievably how quickly they've managed to grow. I mean, 3 months for Danielle. She, from volunteer, became shop manager. So, but the hiring is very important. And just because through volunteers, you see the right motivation. And when you hire somebody, we've tried working with males, sorting clothes. So far, it hasn't worked out. But yeah. Another thing, because we're working in a setting where we don't fit the NGO profile nor the company limited profile, we found right away, we knew that our biggest risk was dealing with state institutions. So right away we contacted Deloitte, an auditor company, and they did a pro bono service during crisis. They had very little work, so they were happy to help out. And actually when we planned, we double-checked everything, or sometimes even checked things 4 times. How we report, how do we register? People bring things. How do we register them? What do they get a paper? Do we use a cash register? Do we just accept donations? Like there were a lot of decisions that we had to make because it was a new thing. Now we know it, but then it was a new thing. But we can sleep calmly during the night because we have we have internationally recognized auditing services that say that we're doing it in the right way. So we don't have to be afraid from the revenue service nor other instances. So friends with auditors, very good. Also, important factor that we were lucky to have the person who initiated this, Ellie, a 25-year-old at that time. She was by nature entrepreneurial. But we have found that you can't change a person who is not entrepreneurial. You can't make them and say, now you manage the shop. And I think a lot of the people who work in Otrā elpa, a lot of them, they're very entrepreneurial. And they might start off as cash or consultants, store manager, just as consultants or sorting clothes. But we really, when we look for people, we see that they have the potential to become shop managers. So, that's very important as well, entrepreneurial. But keeping track of things, it's a pain. Sometimes it's a pain. It takes a lot of time. But we do keep, we have monthly reports, and we keep track of all the numbers, outputs, and outcomes, and to see, we really want to see, and we're happy when we look at the numbers afterwards. So it's worth it.
Okay.
But it's a challenge.
Yeah, thanks.
Oops. I can't think of mistakes because every experience you can learn from, but I can tell you what were the most challenging times. The first really difficult challenge or difficult situation came after 1 year of existence when the group of initiators got tired. It was 1 year of voluntary work, every week 3 times going out by car in the winter, in the autumn, rain, whatever was there. And the 10 people we started with, they just got tired. They started finding excuses why they can't come. A very good sign for me was when I called one of them on Saturday night, and he picked up and he was like, "Where do you want me to drive now?" I was like, "I'm actually calling you, it's Saturday night, would you like to go for a beer?" And that was a sign for me that, okay, I need to change something because friendship is very important, and it's not the way to do things. So there were some changes done. First of all, we hired an employee to cover the main things, the main activities on daily basis. We took a little loan for that, but this is already repaid. And we also changed the business structure a little bit. The main core activity from then on was e-shop, pre-ordering of the local food and delivery once a week of this. And this is the core activity by now. We have it twice a week happening. We still go out, as I said, with these counters of food, but this is more for marketing, and we only do it when we feel that we have energy and people to do it. We don't take it as a responsibility. But that was a hard time when I realized that the lessons learned for me was that the voluntary work is a short-term thing. People's lives change, priorities in their lives change, and you can't really rely on voluntary work. You need it supplementing other possibilities. Another challenge came when we had the organization, and I now had more time to dig into the legislation, that, okay, we're an NGO, what does it mean, all kinds of veterinary regulations and all that stuff. And then I started to get scared It turned out that the NGOs are actually not supposed to have business activities more than 50% or more than half of their activity. There are huge EU regulations for food, which we were not really following, and all this other stuff, and I really felt that this is growing over my head. It's too much. I cannot, as a single social entrepreneur, I cannot be a lawyer, bookkeeper, and all these things in one person. So, as I am a solution-oriented person, I went to this guy up there, Jan, and we established the Estonian Social Enterprise Network that would take care of the advocacy of social enterprises, deal with legislation, legal matters, and make it easier for social enterprises to operate in Estonia. So out of the 4 years of my social enterprise operating, 2 of them I spent building up social enterprise network.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, to speak about mistakes is very easy and hard, but when you have 20 years of experience, you should have some mistakes. But you understand that you did mistakes or big mistakes after 10 or 15 years when it's done. And then you cannot do anything. So you just knew that that was a mistake. But what is possible to change is, firstly, you trust people, but you check people. Because the nicer people looks, he can be not so nice. We had been like several times to understood this like thing, and what mistake is that. From one side it's a mistake, but from the other side it's a plus, is don't be so optimistic. Because if you are so optimistic, then in reality you have kick in the ass after some time. But from the other side, if you will not be so optimistic, you maybe will lose some possibilities. So I don't know the correct answer, but for example, we was very, very optimistic about the help of municipality and state. Even now we are. And so we have a new place. There is empty house in Riga, and we go to municipality and say, just give us this house to us, and we will do that, and they gave us. And then we start to understand that there is no water, there is no electricity, there is no such. And the biggest problem is that we could do it by ourselves, but you cannot do it by ourselves, because if you want electricity, you need such paper, such paper, such paper, such paper. After such paper, you need such sign, and after that you have such sign, you need again such paper. So, and when you cannot understand that you cannot run services without electricity, without gas, and so on, you go and say, sorry, municipality, we don't need that house. And they say, come on, you 1 month ago needed, now you don't need. So, and then they start to think that you are idiots. And maybe you are idiots, but that's one case. In another case, maybe you will be lucky and this house will have electricity, or at least you will have possibility to have this electricity. So this is a thing to be very clear of, that if you are too optimistic about the things, it may be. So check people, and check your optimistic ideas.
Okay, thank you, Māris.
Big hat. Okay, so for my small NGO, risks are forehead, because it's exactly the moment of transition from being urban activists and to go into moving to the model of social entrepreneurship, which comes out naturally in this case. So we are not applying some concepts, from the up to the bottom. And at this moment, the main challenge we faced was the complete change of administrative model in the city. Because when you work on the redevelopment of or on the reanimation of some neighborhood, what is important to do is to bring community together with local administration and with business sector. And what concerns local administration, these local divisions of administrations, which are called eldership in Vilnius, they were demolished a week ago. So these people, we already have established good relations, and they're professionals in each neighborhood, and they know these problems of hardware in neighborhood, and they looked after it. These divisions already do not exist, and that means that all resources now are concentrated in the hands of municipality, and we have to, to search for another persons in the municipality just to establish this contact. And as far as model is not developed, what is next? How municipality is going to deal with these neighborhoods and with communities? There's no model at all. So now we have to, to orientate ourselves in a new situation. So it's a decision-making process on strategic level, which is very risky, actually, for us. The next thing is this idea of social entrepreneurship came to our minds when we started thinking that we saw that neighborhood itself has a huge potential. Tourist groups started visiting it, and during this summer I guided each week, I guided a new tourist tour to visit this, for this neighborhood. So I understood that the potential is so big that we need more forces there in the neighborhood, and we, together with neighbors, with residents, we developed several solutions for these neighborhoods. For example, there is no cafe to stop for this tourist and to have some. So there are going to be some local enterprises are going to be launched in this neighborhood, but still a lot of work should be done on the model how this enterprise will delegate the resources they get from their business to neighborhood again, how these resources will return to people in the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thanks.
I promise to keep it short. I hope the hat won't keep all my thoughts in my head only. Our biggest challenge, it has been on the stage twice already today. The last one was Riinu. The previous one who stated it was ghetto games. How to keep the spark in your eye, how to motivate yourself, because me and my partner, the two co-founders of Meditech Estonia, we've been working for free for almost 4 years. So, but until I still have a bit fat on my stomach, I keep on doing this, and it's my personal fitness program, like I call it. And about the lessons learned, I won't be pointing out any specific mistakes, maybe only the one that we haven't been too optimistic, but the actual we didn't make we made a pessimistic plan actually, and today we haven't reached even this, because why we work for free is we cannot afford it. We cannot afford to pay salaries. Our turnover, our revenue in 1 month is basically the same, which was my salary in my last pay job, still, after these 4 years. But the lesson is, you've probably heard it before, but it's good to say it again. If you fail, try again.
Thanks. Zane?
Can I take the hat home afterwards?
We can discuss it in the coffee break.
We have a lot of them daily, but I counted 3 big ones. One is very, very practical. When we received the good news about the grant, our status was micro LTD. And on one hand, it's a great status because you have only 9% of the tax to pay for income. But we were shocked when our accountant said, "Oh, nice, but you have to pay from the grant you received because it's income." And actually, and you cannot, show this, like you have a cost estimate, for example, in our case, for the certain amount, and you cannot include it in the cost estimate for the project. So basically, you pay the state for the fact that you have managed to get a financial grant for your project. And actually, it's fine when your grant is 5,000, but what if we want something bigger? Then actually, you basically have to invest it from your own pocket. So be careful about the status you choose if you are approaching grants in Latvia. It was very bad experience for us. Then I think the second one for me is a person that came from service industry, basically. I thought, oh, production, come on, that's simple. My mom used to be, how hard can it be? And actually, and again, here's the point where I could not survive without Solvit, which is my reality side, because I'm the vision person. I can talk a lot, but I'm not that good with practical things, and actually production is hard. And after the first months, I said, I respect anybody who tries that. It's hard from the very beginning. You have failures, you have problems with materials, you have all sorts of unexpected things, and our time plan was also way too optimistic. Even though we delayed the production for 3 months only from the plan that we submitted for the grant, it's still, we would have wanted more time for that. It takes more time. And the third for us is, of course, very specific work employees. It is the seniors. And even though I can put my hand on the heart and say that I'm sure that in post-Soviet countries, they're wonderful workforce because they love working. They love that. They see motivation just in pure aspect that they're busy and somebody needs the stuff they produce. So they're great. But of course, they have health issues. We have from our recruitment, we lose at least 50% of people. So for very simple, even some motivational aspects. They say, oh, we are in an age we don't have to prove anything. And of course, and that's actually, it's a good workforce, but very hard workforce. And it will take you time if you employ specific group from society.
Okay, thanks. And now, in the very end, I would like to move from the black to the colorful and invite each of our social entrepreneurs to share in one sentence their dreams and their aims for the future. So please tell each of you us your aim or your dream for next 3 years, what you want to achieve in 3 years' time.
This will be a very long sentence. Okay, so we want to double the amount that we give to the society. So if it's around 800 lats this year from all of us, from all the shops, so hopefully 1,600 in 3 years. 1 to 2 shops, a minibus for Otrā, a really developed recycling clothesline that we're launching in December together with our artists who are sitting there as well. We want at least minimum the third of the whole Riga population to know what Otrā is. But better it would be if it was 50%. So. And we would really like to see more replications or Otrā franchises that are cause-specific. So for difficult causes, like for domestic violence or for women, for example, that all the income from this one shop goes just for seniors or for women or youth projects or ghetto games or whatever. But it's doable. Just we really want to see more shops. Yeah. Okay.
Our future topic so far has been only about survival.
Here we go.
Okay.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. Riinu, please.
So far it has really been only about survival, and at this point now, after 4 years, I can say that this is the time where we became stable, finally, after 4 years. We have 50 to 60 farmers every week we work with. We have 500 orders per month. We have a team of 5 people. We have a car. We have a warehouse. It's all stable, it's all self-sustainable, and now it's the time when we think, okay, how can we bring it into a next level? How can we make a leap, evolve somewhere? We've been talking about maybe opening activity in another town in Tallinn, or maybe collaborate with kindergartens. We don't have a plan yet, but I'm just happy that we reached the point where we can actually talk about bigger step ahead.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
So, don't look at that side, yes. Our dream is to change the life for 150 people with disabilities and to make better services, more free 10 maybe services new. There is a little chance of support of state with a new program, so we are very, very big awareness weights, so we would like to open some new 10 structures.
Thanks.
Okay, when you start working with neighborhood, you understand that you stuck there for several years. So for 3 years, we want to redevelop, reanimate this neighborhood so that it would be one of the most attractive points in the city, because it's in the center and it has got a beautiful green area. So more practical things to do are to establish a small cafe which is going to be opened in this small neighborhood area next summer, and to open a souvenir craft shop where local people can produce crafts and sell them, and also to open pop-up flea market. So there are small plans, but still I'm very concrete about this work. That's why I'm not that abstract.
We want to triple the number of lives saved, which means we want to at least triple the users of emergency button. We already have new solutions as well, medicine dispensers, electric cooker guards. We hope that the solutions and services which are normal in advanced countries will be accepted in Estonia as well, and we can help much more people than we are doing currently. And I hope I've lost my fat, and I'm still working for Meditech, and so we'll fly to the sky. And on and on.
Yes. For us, it's actually very simple. We would want to reach good export numbers and to employ senior professional weavers in the countryside. That would be our vision of growth. And actually, I would simply want to be sitting here within 5 years saying, yes, LuDe still exists. We still have this spark, and social business has a business under it.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to sum up, I would really like to thank all 6 social entrepreneurship storytellers, because I think you gave us really good insight in what it is to be a social entrepreneur here in Baltics, both from emotional point of view and thinking about the spark in the eye and your social sense of mission, and from the other side also from the practical side, what are the challenges or lessons learned, or how the political kind of framework is helping or isn't helping to you. So thank you very much, and unfortunately we didn't have time for proper questions and answers kind of process, so I could imagine that these people are quite open to receive your emails probably, or talk afterwards, because as they are kind of young and beginners in this field, so I think that they are open to both connect with you and also to hear probably your advices, or somehow, as you said, shake hands with you. So thank you very much for agreeing to participate in this kind of experiment. Thanks.